Have you ever felt like speaking English in conversations is kind of like walking a tightrope? One wrong step and splat, you just totally wipe out.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, I think we all do, at least sometimes.
Definitely.
Today, we're going to dive into a podcast episode that I think offers a really refreshing take on this whole idea of like how to approach speaking English in conversations.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's all about flipping the script.
Oh, okay.
So instead of seeing conversations as these like high pressure tests of your fluency, where you're constantly worried about making mistakes,
Right.
you start to view them as opportunities to connect with other people.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and it takes the pressure off.
For sure.
What I found really cool about this episode is that they, the hosts of the episode, actually start off by sharing their own personal experiences with feeling nervous in conversations.
Oh, wow. Even as native speakers.
Yeah, even as native speakers.
That's surprising.
Right. They talk about this pressure to sound perfect, which I think we can all relate to in some way, whether we're native speakers or not.
Absolutely. I know I've definitely felt that pressure.
Yeah, and they point out how this pressure to be perfect can actually make it harder to speak fluently.
Like you get so caught up in your head.
Yeah, exactly. You get all in your head, and then you end up stumbling over your words even more.
It's a vicious cycle.
Totally.
So have you ever been in a situation where you felt like you were so focused on trying to sound perfect that you ended up messing up even more?
Oh, all the time.
Really?
Yeah, like I'll be in a conversation and I'll just get this like wave of self-consciousness, and suddenly I can't remember even the simplest words.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It's the worst.
It's like your brain just freezes up.
Totally.
So what's the secret then? Like, how do you overcome that feeling?
Well, that's what this episode gets into.
Okay.
And they have this great phrase that really sums it up. Presence over perfection.
Presence over perfection.
Yeah, and it's about shifting your focus away from trying to impress people with your language skills,
Uh-huh.
and instead just being present in the moment.
Yeah.
Like really listening to what the other person is saying and responding authentically, even if it's not perfectly grammatically correct.
I love that.
And the hosts talk about how active listening is a huge part of this.
Okay.
Because when you're truly listening to someone, you're picking up on all these subtle cues.
Oh, like their tone of voice and their body language.
Exactly. And it helps you ask better questions, more thoughtful questions.
Right.
And that makes the other person feel heard and understood.
Which is way more important than just speaking perfect English.
Absolutely. It's all about building that connection.
It reminds me of something I read recently about the power of active listening in building relationships.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it said that people actually feel more connected to you when you listen well than when you speak well.
That makes sense.
It's like when you really listen to someone, you're showing them that you value their thoughts and feelings.
And that's huge.
It's like you're saying, hey, you matter to me.
Exactly.
And that's what creates a real bond between people.
So how do we actually get better at this whole presence over perfection thing?
Yeah, how do we put it into practice?
Well, the episode gives some really practical tips.
Okay, I'm listening.
So one of their suggestions is to use conversation starters that are based on your surroundings or your personal experiences.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so imagine you're at a park, right?
Okay, I'm at the park.
You could say something like, wow, this park is beautiful.
Simple, but effective.
Or, if you're grabbing coffee with someone, you could say, that coffee smells amazing.
Yeah, I like that.
It's just a way to break the ice and get the conversation flowing.
And it's not about being super witty or clever.
Not at all. It's just about being present and noticing the things around you. And then, of course, asking questions is always a good way to show that you're interested in the other person.
Makes sense.
So, instead of just talking about yourself all the time.
Which some people tend to do.
Yeah, ask the other person about their day, their hobbies, their thoughts on whatever you're talking about.
Right, get them talking.
Exactly.
These tips are all really helpful, but I'm wondering if they might work differently for introverts versus extroverts.
That's a really good point.
Like some of these conversation starters might feel a bit too, I don't know, out there for someone who's more introverted.
Right.
While an extrovert might jump right in and feel totally comfortable.
Yeah, I think it's all about finding what feels authentic to you.
Exactly.
Like if you're more introverted, maybe you start with a simple question like, how's your day going?
Yeah, just something to ease into the conversation.
And then as you get more comfortable, you can try out some of the other tips.
That makes sense.
And the episode actually talks about this idea of practicing conversations with anyone and everyone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they say it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So it's not just about having conversations with close friends or family members.
Nope. It's about talking to the barista, the cashier at the grocery store, whoever you encounter throughout your day.
So it's like every interaction is an opportunity to practice.
Exactly.
I love that.
And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out conversation.
Right. Just a quick exchange.
A few sentences here and there can make a big difference.
It's the cumulative effect of all those small interactions that really builds your confidence.
Absolutely, and that's what this whole episode is all about.
Building confidence through connection.
Exactly.
And they also give some good advice on how to keep a conversation going once you've started it.
Oh, yeah. They talk about things like asking follow-up questions.
Right. So instead of just saying, oh, that's cool, you dig a little deeper.
Yeah, you show that you're really listening and that you want to learn more.
And finding common ground, right?
Yes, that's key.
Like, if you discover that you both love hiking, you can talk about your favorite trails or your dream hiking destination.
Exactly. It's all about building that connection.
And you know what? They even have some tips on how to gracefully exit a conversation.
Oh, yeah. That's always awkward.
It is.
Like, how do you end the conversation without being rude?
Right, because you don't want to just walk away abruptly.
Exactly. So they give some phrases you can use.
Okay.
Like, it was great talking to you, but I need to run now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I hope we can chat again soon.
Nice.
Just little things like that can make a big difference.
So it seems like they really cover a lot of ground in this episode.
They do. It's pretty comprehensive.
Did they talk about vocabulary at all?
They do, actually.
Yeah.
There's a whole segment where they share some useful phrases for everyday conversations.
That's helpful.
But they're really careful to emphasize that vocabulary, while important, shouldn't be your primary focus.
I agree with that.
It's like you can know all the fancy words in the dictionary,
Right.
but if you're not present and engaged in the conversation,
It's not going to matter.
it's not going to matter at all.
It's like trying to build a house with just bricks and no mortar.
Perfect analogy.
You need both.
You need the words and the connection.
Exactly.
So, to kind of wrap things up, the big takeaway from this episode is that shifting your mindset from performance to connection is the key to enjoying and excelling in English conversations.
I love that.
It's about letting go of that pressure to be perfect.
And just being yourself.
Exactly. And I think the more you can embrace that mindset,
Yeah.
the more confident and fluent you'll become.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
When you believe in yourself, others will believe in you too.
And that's a really powerful thing.
It is.
So, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Think about a recent conversation where you felt nervous or self-conscious, and ask yourself how you could approach that conversation differently next time.
Oh, that's good.
Like, how could you focus more on connecting with the other person
Right.
and less on trying to sound perfect?
That's a great challenge.
It is, and I think if we can all start making that shift,
Yeah.
we'll find that speaking English becomes a lot more enjoyable.
And a lot less stressful.
Exactly, so go out there and connect.
You got this.
We believe in you.
You can do it.
Thanks for joining us today.
See you next time.
Bye for now.